Carlos, can you hear me?
Hey Tyler.
Hey man, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going, man? Sorry,
Oh no, I'm
keeping you
sorry.
waiting. It's no, it's just that you know what happened? I ordered a pizza, and it was supposed to come a little bit later, like in 40 minutes, and it arrived right now. So
Dude, go eat your pizza. Go eat your
no,
pizza.
no, 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 no. I'm planning to eat it later with my girlfriend. She's going for a meeting with her coworkers, and then she will come back like in an hour. So no
Okay.
worries for that.
I admire your restraint. I don't think I've ever let a pizza last longer than
Yeah, I
five
think
minutes.
it's the first time I'm doing that in my life, and so you should feel pretty special.
What a special moment to have captured here on audio. I think it really comes through, right? The smells, the appearance of the pizza.
Exactly. It's a shame that you cannot smell it.
I bet you have pretty good pizza there in Cyprus, huh?
Well, it will surprise you, but actually, no, they suck, man. Most of them. Like, you know what's happening? Like, I'm trying different pizza venues,
Yeah.
you know, because every time I try a new one, it kind of sucks. You know?
What's it missing?
I don't know. It's the dough probably. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. You know, do you remember when you still living in Ostrava, by the way?
No, no, I'm living in
No,
Extremadura,
you're
Spain.
now in Spain. Yeah, sure. So in Ostrava we had amazing pizza. I don't know if you remember, or patilla.
Yeah, yeah, on that main street.
Yeah, exactly on the main street, or patilla. And you know, it was the dough mainly that made it amazing. Here the dough is like too crunchy and too thick. You know, it's more like American style pizza. Sorry for saying that.
Oh, no pasa nada. Yeah, no. America. Well, outside of New York City, right? Because New York City,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
that's the best pizza in the world, in my opinion.
New York City pizza is amazing. I have to say that. Even my
Yeah,
girlfriend will love it.
yeah, I think so. Well, thanks for coming on, dude. I mean, it's great to catch up. We've kind of lost touch over the past few months. We've both
No,
moved countries,
definitely.
so
Yeah.
A lot to
Thanks
chat
for
about.
having me. Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me and for inviting me. It's a pleasure to speak with you again. Definitely.
Well, I am still indebted to you, especially because we didn't really see each other before we departed Ostrava. But for a little background for people listening, we met during quarantine in the Czech Republic, or people
Yeah,
say quarantine. I feel like that's not the most accurate word. It's more of
definitely
a
not. Not in Czech
no,
Republic at all, no.
no. It was like a lockdown light.
Yes, yes, and
We did not
it
have a
wasn't even real a lockdown, was it? Like in Australia, it was pretty calm things, like maybe 1 or 2 weeks of lockdown and
right, but
something like that.
we couldn't really interact in social settings.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. But you could go to the street and you could do sport and you could go without the mask outside.
Right. Yeah, now we
So
look back on those days like those were the days of freedom.
yeah, the good old days, no?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The good old days. Yeah.
Right. But you were really generous. You posted something on the we had like an expats Facebook group in Ostrava, and you
Yeah.
were offering Spanish lessons to people that were interested. With you were not asking for any money, which I still think is incredibly generous. And you and I got to know each other that way, and we ended up meeting up a couple times in person after that. And
Yes.
it was really fascinating to meet someone like yourself in Ostrava because I don't know what I'm curious to hear about your experience in Ostrava, but to me that was it's not exactly like an expat's haven. There are not many expats there.
Yeah, that's totally correct. You know, when I arrived to Ostrava, it was maybe I was maybe 1 month and a half there before the lockdown actually happened. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and this is, by the way, sorry to interrupt. Can you hear me correctly and all that, or
Yeah, no, you sound
should I
great.
speak louder, or everything is all right?
It's pretty good. It could probably be a little louder, but
Perfect. It doesn't matter. I speak a little bit louder. No worries.
okay.
So basically, as I was saying, no, I was there for maybe 1 month and a half, something like that. Not even 2 months, and then the lockdown happened, right?
Hmm.
So I offered these classes for two reasons. One of all, I knew already that Spanish was a big thing for people in Czech Republic,
Uh-huh.
and for people who, it's a language that a lot of people want to learn. So it was an easy target, I guess.
Sure, you're providing a
And
service that people want.
exactly. And second of all, I didn't ask for any money because what I wanted is mainly to meet people and make friends. That was my primary goal.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
sorry to disappoint you. You ended up meeting a deadbeat American
I
rather
met I
than
met two crazy Americans. How's Brad doing? How's Brad doing?
wait, who?
Brad, your friend Brad. Was it Brad?
Brady?
Brady.
Yeah,
I keep
yeah.
calling him Brad.
I knew that's who you were talking about, but I couldn't place the name. I haven't talked to him
Yeah.
in quite some time.
Yeah.
He ended up going back to the States for the summer,
All
and
right.
oddly enough, he found work at a crematorium. Business was
Oh,
booming this summer.
are you kidding me? Is he working at a crematorium right now?
Well, I believe he went back to Ostrava, but haven't been in touch since.
Right. Well,
So
that's fascinating. Fascinating fella, our
it
friend
really
Brady.
is. Yeah, I would like to chat with him about that experience.
Yeah.
But I'm still curious. I know you've told me in the past, but I kind of forgot. How did you end up in Ostrava? You're originally from Malaga, right? From Malaga, Spain?
Yeah, correct. I'm originally from Malaga, very close to where you study, because if I remember correctly, you were living in Sevilla for a while.
I had plans to live there. I visited a couple
Ah,
times.
you visited. All right, all right.
Yeah.
So for people speaking who doesn't know where Malaga is it's in the south of Spain, right?
Uh-huh.
By the sea. So it's a very nice city. And yeah, I'm from there. So basically, I finished studying there, and what happens, like, I moved to Norway to work first to do a volunteer, to be a
Okay.
volunteer to teach kids English, because there were a lot of kids coming from Somalia, from Syria, from these kind of places, work places,
Aha.
that they were refugees in Norway, right? So I went there as a volunteer to teach English to these kids, and it was amazing. It was a lovely experience. I was 2 years there.
2 years as a volunteer.
No. 1 year as a volunteer and 1 year working in tourism.
Okay, but 1 year as a volunteer, Norway is notoriously expensive.
Notoriously expensive indeed, yeah. But they provide me accommodation and some pocket money to go with the flow. So
Uh-huh.
it wasn't that bad.
I see. And what intrigued you about that opportunity? Like, I know there's a lot of English spoken in Malaga because it's a tourist hub, a lot of tourists visit, but what intrigued you about the English language and wanting to teach it?
Well, that's a good question. First of all, I think the thing that intrigued me the most, it was, I was a teenager, I was growing up, and nobody of my friends could speak English because, despite what you're saying right now, Malaga and Spain has pretty shitty English. Sorry for the language.
No.
Like people there don't speak too much English. Now it's getting better and better, but young people there, they don't speak too much English.
Right.
And my friends couldn't speak English at all.
Mm-hmm.
Some little English maybe, but so we started to travel, and I started to travel and to get into travel, and then I found out, man, if you want to keep going with this, if you want to keep traveling for the rest of your life, you have to learn some English, because otherwise you are completely fucked, man. Otherwise, you need it. It's a language that you actually need it.
Yeah.
And yeah, in Malaga, we have horrible level of English. Yeah, I will say it's more or less same level that you will find in Italy or in Greece, that kind of
Okay. Okay.
level.
I would assume that it's better than Placentia here in Extremadura. I mean, this is
Yeah, definitely. 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 So yeah, that was the thing, first of all, I was fulfilling a role within my group. Nobody could speak English, so I was kind of the translator. So that
uh-huh.
motivated me into learn more English, right? Because I was being useful to other people, and I understood that the more English I will be learning, the more interesting people I will be meeting.
Oh, that's fascinating, man. Yeah, so it was almost like you felt like you had a purpose amongst your friends, as like you had an identity. You were the English speaker.
Kind of, yeah. At the beginning, on the early years, it was totally like that, like even playing video games,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
video games like DayZ or other video games that they are not fully translated in Spanish.
Okay.
I will be the translator with other people interacting, and it's kind of online video games. I will be the
I
translator of my
see.
group, so it was kind of cool, yeah.
So you were consuming English media, but what other means of English did you, or like means of study did you use to learn the language? Like what did you find that was most effective for you?
All right. Okay. I'm not really proud of this, okay, Tyler, but I'm gonna tell you. When I was 15, 16, I really got into Backstreet Boys.
Okay, the truth comes
Yeah.
out.
Exactly. And I couldn't stop. Like, I was listening to Backstreet Boys all the time, and I was like, I want to know what this shit means, and then I was kind of disappointed because it's not the most profound lyrics in the world, is
It's
it?
well said, well said.
Yeah.
But you've told us why. Isn't that one of their hits? Tell me why. You have told
Yeah.
us why.
I
Now we
told you
know.
why. That's yeah. But that's more or less the story of how I started to learn English, and then how I started to teach English. And
Yeah.
then I went to Scotland.
Okay.
And in Scotland, I met my lovely girlfriend, Linda. You met her?
I have met her and she is lovely. I can confirm. Yes.
Yes. And the
She's
thing is,
from
like,
Italy,
she's from
right?
Italy, exactly. Yeah, she's from the south of Italy. So we spent 6 months in Italy, in Scotland, and then
What were you doing in Scotland?
oh, this is the story. I was working in a pizzeria. That's how I met her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's
Wow.
Italian. She loves pizza, so I met her in the
Sure.
pizzeria I was working.
Okay. And how did you find out about that opportunity? You had been living in Norway. You said you did the volunteer teaching for a year, then you worked in
Mhm.
tourism. I believe you had told me you were a tour guide. Is that right?
I was correct. I was a tour guide for like about 4 months, and then I was promoted to tour manager because there was urgency of a Spanish speaker tour manager.
Oh, wow. Okay. How was
Uh,
that experience? Did you enjoy it?
It was amazing, man. It was probably one of the best years I had in my life. It was
Hmm.
amazing to work with young people from all around the world
Right.
in Norway, which is such a beautiful spot, and just
Oh, I
partying
imagine.
all day and having good money, man. It was amazing.
Okay, okay. So what kind of tours were you leading? Were they like cultural or mainly nature based?
Yeah, cultural. Yeah, mainly like when I was a tour guide, I was mainly cultural tours more than
Okay.
nature-wise. But then when I was promoted to tour manager, my guides, I don't like to say my guides, but the guides I was, managing kind
Yeah.
of. So they were doing every kind of thing, nature, yeah, going to the fjords, for example,
Hmm. Hmm.
or even going in a fishing boat. Or there was one crazy tour that was going to a helicopter,
Oh,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
going to a helicopter to watch the glaciers and all this. So
Did you get to go on one of those tours?
I did get to go on one of those, and it was amazing.
Yeah,
I have to
yeah.
say that.
I got to go on one in Alaska. And when you talked about your time in Norway, I see a lot of parallels with my time in Alaska. Like, I think they're very similar geographically, but it sounds like culturally as well. So I have
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get to Norway.
it's they have the same kind of either is too dark, either is too light,
Right, right.
kind of days because I don't in Alaska I guess it's the same, no, 6 months of summer, 6 months of winter, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, more or less.
So the culture is very extreme, I'd say, no, and also
Yeah,
because of the extreme conditions, not a lot of people is living there, which means
right.
there is a lot of money to distribute.
Ah, sure, sure. Did you spend a full calendar year there? Like, did you stay through the winter?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
Yes, it was the first winter it was cool for me because it was a different thing, you know.
Sure. Especially for
Uh,
Malaga. I mean,
exactly. I was seeing the sun getting down at 3:30, and then everything covered by snow.
yeah.
But you had the beautiful stars in the sky because I was living in a town in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
So it was quite spectacular. It was very beautiful. But then when the second winter was coming, is when I decided to go to Scotland.
I see. I see. Did you speak Norwegian or did you learn it while you were there?
You know what? I learned it when I was there, and
Oh,
I
okay.
I managed to pull off a B1 level.
Wow, man, that's really impressive.
It was 10 months of studying a lot actually. But Norwegian is a pretty easy language. I have to say this.
Oof, I,
It's like a baby German kind of.
really? Okay. I
Yeah.
I have heard it's very difficult. I think you're just being modest right now.
No, no, no. I mean, it sounds difficult because it's so different.
Right.
But if you consider, for example, if you're talking about the verbs, right? For
Hmm.
example, I eat, you eat, he eats, all of this, right?
Sure.
In Spanish and in German, they change. You know this. In Spanish, you don't say I eat, you eat, he eats. The
Right.
verbs they go changing, right? But in Norwegian, it's all the time the same. They don't even do the little difference that you guys in English you make. That is like
Just
I
adding
eat,
the
you
S.
eat, he eats.
Yeah.
They don't even do that in Norway. No, it's just all the same.
Okay. I guess it's too cold for complexity. Just keep it
Exactly,
simple.
exactly.
Okay,
So that's what
interesting.
that's why I mean it was easy if you compare it to German, to the German roots, because it
Uh-huh.
has a lot of similarities with German, but it's like a baby German.
That's really interesting to hear though, Carlos, because I'm pretty sure there's this like a grading rubric. I think it's by the US Department of State, and they
Mhm.
rank the difficulty of each language from
Yeah.
English. And I
Uh-huh.
believe Norwegian is a level 2, whereas the Latin and Germanic based languages are level 1.
Really?
I believe so. And I think it's because it doesn't really have any other relation.
Well, it does have Germanic roots
Okay.
to begin with. But that's about it. It's just you just have to learn the verbs and the words. I know it sounds I know it sounds simple and stupid. You have to learn the verbs and the word and the language is made, but it's totally like that because the structure is not complex. The articles are not complex.
I
The
see.
pronunciation is not complex. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So once you learn the verbs and some words, you're done. You got it.
So did you discover a Norwegian version of the Backstreet Boys?
Well, I did not, because the closer they have, they have a lot of rock and death metal kind of thing in these countries,
Oh
especially in
yeah,
Norway
yeah.
and Finland. So the closer that I found to this, it was two little kids. They're like 10 years old, and apparently they perform, and it's fucking crazy. It's like the two Backstreet Boys of Norway, and they're like 10 years old. It's crazy. But I was very good friends with a guy who's actually a musician. His name
Uh-huh.
is also Carlos, and he's starting to become something there in Norway.
Yeah.
So Carlos, if by any chance you're hearing, man, good luck, and I know you're great.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of music is he into?
Well, he's doing electronic kind of music together with a little bit of hip hop. It's
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, he's very very talented. He's a very talented guy, and he's one of the sweetest person I met in Norway. He's
Do
a
you
very
know
nice
where we
guy.
could find him? Does he have like something on Spotify or YouTube channel or something?
He does have. His name is Kai Lo.
Kylo.
Yeah,
That's a good DJ name.
yeah, yeah.
Kylo, is
He's,
that Kilo?
you know what? Now you're making me doubt. I think you know what? Let me see.
I guess that would be Kilo, Kilo. It can't be Kilo.
I remember it was Kalo or something like that. Actually, you know what? I'm actually typing it.
Okay.
Uh,
Your fingers remember, huh? The keystrokes.
yes, I think so. I think so. You know what? I'm gonna just find it in Instagram. I'll tell you by the end of the podcast.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, so you spent those couple of years in Norway. At any
Yeah.
point, did you start to get homesick? Did you miss the beaches of Malaga or the tapas, the sun?
Yes, obviously. I mean, you've been in Spain. You know how lovely it is. Especially in the summer.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So I was homesick, but especially because of the friends. I'm very close to my friends in Spain.
Uh-huh.
I was also missing my brother and my mother and my father. So obviously
Yeah.
you get homesick. But on the other hand, I didn't get too homesick. In the point that you need to come back home and all that. Actually, for me, it was more like, okay, I know I can live away from home. Now I know that. Now I know that once I did this little step of going out of my comfort zone and going
Mm-hmm.
out of Spain and going out of my family's nest, now I know I can do it everything by myself, and I don't need to
Sure.
be home. And you're a traveler, as I am, and you know
Yeah.
how special it is to set foot in a place for the first time.
Yeah. Especially that first move. That's the hardest one for
The
sure.
first move is the hardest one, especially, and not even, the thing is like, you never really go out of the comfort zone for a long time. You keep hearing these kind of things like you have to get out of your comfort zone, you have to break your comfort zone. I don't think it's that way. I think you have to expand your comfort zone, right? So you can be comfortable in different kind of situations. But
Hmm.
in order to expand your comfort zone, you do need to break it at the beginning. You need to go out of there. The problem is that once you broke this comfort zone, once you're out of your comfort zone is going to become that uncomfortness, no? And that kind of new environment
Yeah.
is going to become your comfort zone. So you always, every time that you go to a new place, you're going to feel that you're going out of your comfort zone. Now, it happened to me when I was in Scotland, and then I moved to Italy, and then from Italy to Czech Republic. You know,
Right.
it's all the time the same. It's all the time the same. But you got to keep doing it, because otherwise you miss this kind of amazing people that you meet, tasty food, and new
Yeah, yeah.
culture.
I
You have to
totally
keep doing it.
agree. It's the transition. That's the tough part. And it's usually pretty fast. It happens a lot faster than you might imagine. I mean, we as humans, we adapt to any situation. And when we move to a new place, it's the same. It happens pretty fast.
Precisely, precisely. That's exactly my point. We as humans, we get adapted very easily to new situations, very very easily. We have a
Right.
high adaptability, and the problem that comes with that is that once you're adapted, you kind of don't want to go out, no? But you gotta do it. You gotta do it. You can do it. And you have to remind yourself to keep doing it. And especially, I believe you're the same that me in this situation. It's very difficult once you start doing it to be in the same place for 6, 7, 8 months.
That is my problem. I have become
Exactly.
addicted to the rush of putting myself in a situation where I have to adapt. The adaptation,
Exactly.
it's the biggest challenge and it's so exciting and it's all encompassing. You don't have time or energy to worry about anything other than just like making it in this new place.
Exactly. And those first moments that you have to find where you're going to sleep, where you're going to eat, how you're
Yeah,
going to manage your money at the beginning, that kind of uncomfortableness it's really refreshing for me. And I had the same vibe for you. Like I knew the moment I met you that you were exactly like me in that sense. Like
yeah,
that's what's keeping you alive. Otherwise,
definitely.
otherwise life is just pointless.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So I'm impressed that you were able to stay 2 consecutive years in Norway. How did you know that it was time to move on after that?
Well, it's part of the thing we're discussing now. Like, I really like Norway, and one day I'm sure I will go back because it's just an amazing place to live and to be. People
Sure.
is so nice. The salary is good. The quality of life is amazing.
Hmm.
Nature-wise, it's the most beautiful country I've seen in my life.
Wow. Okay.
But at some point after 2 years, you gotta ask yourself, do I want to be here for the rest of my life? Especially, I was 25 when I
Yeah.
decided to go out of Norway. So it's like you don't want to feel like you have to do things before your 30s, but at the same time, there's this kind of social pressure, not telling you to do as much
100%.
exactly to do
Yeah.
as many things as you can as while you're still young, right?
Yeah.
So I decided, okay, it's time to go. I want to find new places to live. I want to discover new food, new places, meet new people, all these things, And then I went on a trip to Scotland with my brother, and I told him, you know what, I'm coming here. I'm coming here to work. And then 1 week later, I was back in Scotland, in Edinburgh, and I was working. I went with no interview, with nothing.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask you. So you booked a one-way ticket to Edinburgh and you just
Yes.
you just knew that you would find a way to make
Yeah.
it there.
I didn't know 100% sure, because you never know.
Sure.
But what's the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah.
I think part of our personality in this kind of millennial persona that we are is that we know that we have that economic pillow, even if we don't want to recognize it, even if we
Yeah.
don't want to admit it. We have an economic nest, you know, that it's our parents, right? I
It's our
mean, if the
parents. It's also credit. I think it might be a little different in Europe, but in the United States, it's so easy to get credit, like get a credit card. It's dangerous, but it's always available.
Yeah, exactly. It was more complicated in Europe, but now it's getting way easier. And that's what I mean. Like, uh, part of the thing we're doing it right now, we owe it to our parents because they secured a nest for us to come back if the worst happen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, like when people say that that's incredibly brave to go out of your place with no interview, with no whatever. It's just you're rolling the dice, but you're sure that you're not going to be homeless. That's the thing. You're
Yes.
100% sure that you're not going to be homeless because if the worst thing happen, you always have your family to have your back. So it's
That's
easy to be
so
it's easy
true.
to be brave like that.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And there's a lot of talk these days of like the privilege that people have from first world countries. And yeah, I certainly don't deny it. It is 100% true. I mean, if I were from a third world country, I would not have these opportunities. But I don't
Exactly.
I don't think that should be a reason to discourage getting out there and trying these
No,
things.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. If anything, it's a reason to do it. You know.
Right.
Because you have that opportunity that your parents made sure that you were going to have, right? Which
Right.
is a home for you to come back, but you still have to fly. You have to fly. You have to do your own way.
Yeah, yeah.
And for anybody who's listening who didn't do it yet, man, you gotta do it because it's the most amazing thing in the world. It's just get out
Absolutely.
of your comfort zone, expand your comfort zone, go to different places, go buy one ticket, no return. Just do it. Just do it.
Yes,
Wherever you wanna
yes.
go, wherever you're gonna go.
So did you always think like that? Did you always feel like you were not going to get an office job out of school and do the 9 to 5 and work toward buying a house, or was this something that happened later in life?
It was something that happened later in life, I would say. Like since I was a kid, I was always getting into little ventures, like stupid things. When you're a kid, yeah, I will get lost when I was a kid so many times because I just wanted to explore.
Yeah.
So that's a little trait that you could see. Okay, he's going somewhere. He's not a guy who stays on the sofa all day or something like that. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. But I wasn't that kind of kid. I really wanted to explore my environments.
Right.
And as I grew up, I had it easier and easier. My environment wasn't enough. I needed to explore more of my environment. And what happened recently is that this may be the hippiest thing that I will say in my life, but I found out that my environment is just the planet, planet Earth. It's my
Yeah,
environment.
yeah.
There's no reason to put any kind of borders, and it's a very hippie thing to say, and I'm not quite the hippie philosopher kind of guy, but it's true. It's true. Planet Earth
No,
is our environment, and we should explore it. All of us.
I agree. I agree. And that's been the saddest part of this virus to me, all of the border restrictions that have been put in place
Yes.
and the fear that's been instilled, and I think that's going to linger for a long time. It could be a generation of people that are really reluctant to get out there because of this thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I agree with the thing you're saying. No, like it's been really difficult for me as well to not being able to travel as easy as I will do it in other circumstances.
yeah,
Like now I cannot go back to Spain to spend the holidays with my family, for example. Because then I cannot come back to Cyprus where I'm
yeah,
living now.
yeah.
But still I managed to do some little trips here and there, so
Hmm.
it wasn't that bad of a year. But that's not the most important thing. The virus is out there and there's people denying it, and that's the dangerous thing. That's the sad thing.
Oh, absolutely. We don't
That's the sad
deny
thing.
the existence of the virus here on the
Mm.
podcast. It is 100% real, and it is a risk. It is a risk, particularly for certain portions of the population. And
Yes, it is a risk. It is a risk.
absolutely.
And for people who don't believe in that, I'm sure you have a great, smart audience. But if you guys know someone that doesn't believe in that, it's true. I've seen with my own eyes. It's happening, and it's
Yeah.
scary. It's scary.
So take me back to those initial days in Edinburgh. I've
Sure.
heard of that place because they have a famous festival, the Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
The Fringe Festival, yeah, indeed, it was cancelled this year.
Yeah.
The Fringe Festival, I've been told, is amazing. I couldn't go on first hand, but my girlfriend was there for 3 years and she didn't miss it.
Okay.
And it's amazing. Even there is famous comedians that even go there. Jim Jeffries.
I know the name, but I can't picture him right now. But
Is
I've heard of other comedians going there. That's how I know about it.
I think Jim Jeffries is probably the most known comedian that's been there. He's very, very famous, makes stand-up comedies.
Uh-huh.
He's Australian, very savage, very brutal. I love the guy. I love the guy. My girlfriend's been there 3 years in a row. I didn't have the chance to go because basically what happened is that I went to Scotland. I met my girlfriend, and my girlfriend was on the last year there. She was already going back to Italy,
Okay.
and I fell stupidly in love with her.
Yeah.
So I decided to follow her to Italy. So I missed the festival.
I see. And you met in the pizza shop.
We met. Do you want to know the story, the whole
I want
story?
to know the story. Yeah.
Okay, for everybody
Absolutely.
out there, this story. Okay, this is 100% real. Okay.
Okay.
Basically, I told you that I went with my brother before actually going to live there, right?
Yeah.
So we fell in love with the city. The city was amazing. I was already convinced I was gonna go and live there. And then the last day before going to the airport, we go and we eat in the pub that my girlfriend Linda, she was working.
Okay.
She was working in this pub, no? And then I'm there with my brother, and I see this waitress, and she's amazing and she's beautiful. And then I tell to my brother, you know what? If I come back to Edinburgh, I'm gonna hit on this girl so hard.
Okay.
You know? What happened basically is that I came back to Scotland 1 week later, but I did not try to find her or to hit on her because I thought it may be a little bit creepy, you know, like, you know, I know you, I saw you last week with your brother here, you're so beautiful, you know, I thought
Sure,
it
sure,
could be a little
maybe.
creepy. So I left it be, you know, I let it be, let it be. But then she came into my pizzeria,
Okay.
her pizza, and then I scared her in a way because I told her, I know who you are. I was like, I know you are, you work in this pub right there in the street. I saw you last week, and she was like, can I have a margarita, please? But then I didn't do it so badly because then she came back another day, and then I managed to go out with her after closing, and then we
Uh-huh.
had some drinks. We get to know each other, and now here we are.
Wow, man, that's an amazing story.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is.
So how did you find the job at the pizzeria? Were you just going door to door?
Basically, what happened is like I went there on a Tuesday, and then I just went wandering around the city, and
Yeah.
there is a lot of stuff wanted in the glasses, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
in the doors. Stuff wanted for this, I wanted for this, and I knew I was gonna get a waiter job or something like that, you know, because what other job can I get in Scotland with, you know, being Spanish with no real preparation? My studies are education and philosophy, so I don't have
Oh,
any
okay.
office background, you know.
Sure.
Uh, so there I was like, okay, I may pull off some tourism job, you know, but by the moment I need something until I
Right.
find that, you know. I'm that kind of person that I prefer to get whatever job, you know, and
Yeah.
then escalate
Yeah, yeah,
and
sure.
try to find a different job rather than waiting for the perfect job, you know.
Yeah. And I think that's a great way to go about it, especially when you arrive in a new place, because
Especially exactly,
I
especially
think
when
that's why
you.
a lot of people get scared or they fail because they're looking for
Mhm.
something, they're being too particular and then they run out of money, and then they panic and go home. But yeah,
Exactly, because they're waiting for something that is exactly their thing, you know,
right.
and you have to get out of that. That's another advice. You have to get whatever job you can find, obviously, in which you are respected, in which you are getting enough money, in
Sure.
which you're not a slave, right?
Yeah.
Just get a job that you kind of like, that you have a good environment, and then try to find something better, but with that job already, you know,
Yeah.
with that job already in your back, right? So that's what I did. And then I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna be a waiter for a while, you know, but what kind of waiter am I gonna be? So I see this pizzeria really, really, really cute and cozy and small,
Uh-huh.
and I see there was two Italian cooks, and the boss was Scottish, and they were all speaking in Spanish,
Oh, no
and
way.
it was crazy because they were laughing, and there was such a good environment there. So I go in there, and I was like, hey, do you guys need a worker? Because I'm available. I just right to Scotland. And they were like, actually, we're looking for a front of house. Can you speak English? I
Amazing.
was like, I can speak English, I can speak Spanish. And they were like, okay, yeah, okay, sure. So come tomorrow for a test. So I went the day after, and then I got the job.
Very nice. And what was that experience like? Did you enjoy it?
I absolutely, absolutely. It was such a nice experience. You know, we were all young people working there. The boss was amazing. He was fair. He was like super, super cool. The name of the place is Do Pizzeria. I feel like I'm promoting a lot of places.
Dough Pizzeria. Shout
Yeah.
out for 5% discount. Mention the name Carlos.
Do Pizzeria in Rose Street in Edinburgh. And I'm not kidding. Even the Italian people, they were saying it was the best pizza in town.
Wow.
So it was very, very cool to, and you know, we had this kind of vibe that we will go out of the job, and they will go party, all of us, you know.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds
So it
really
was
awesome, man.
amazing.
I
It was
love that
amazing.
about working in a restaurant. There's so much camaraderie. You're all working together.
Yeah.
And like even on those days where it's tough or you have like a shitty customer, you can
Yeah.
always like you're all in it together. So
Exactly, exactly.
I miss
There's
that.
it's sometimes there can be some small drama, but nothing not gonna pass after one beer. You know what I mean? It's
Right, right. It's also temporary too. I mean, how long does someone sit down and eat a pizza? At max, they're there for 45 minutes and then they're gone. So,
yeah, exactly, exactly. And you have to deal with, I'm not saying that waitering is easy because it's not easy at all.
no.
Everybody who's done waitering knows that you have to put a lot of effort. It's really, it's a tiring job,
Yeah.
and totally respectful. It changed my mind on waitering a lot.
Right. And I think that's a really important perspective because we all go out to restaurants and those who haven't worked at the restaurants, they're the ones that are the problem. They get impatient and they can become
Exactly.
rude, but once you've done it, it's totally different.
Exactly. Because now, once you've done it, you cannot get mad at the waiter.
Right.
Like you just get like okay, you can get mad if he's not doing his job, but if you take one look at the situation, you will understand that the guy is busy. And
Exactly.
there's too many things going at the same time, and probably the place is understaffed. Which is
Yeah.
happening in a lot of places right now, and the salary they're having is nothing. So don't get mad with it. People out there, don't get mad with the waiter
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
the waitress.
Yes. Yes. Of course.
Yes,
Of
be
course.
patient, enjoy your food, and leave a good tip.
Yeah. Leave a good tip.
A good
Relax.
tip.
Yeah.
Your food is gonna come. No worries, your food is gonna
And
come.
I think waiters normally have pretty good stories too. So like if you can spark up a conversation, just treat them like humans, not a servant.
Yeah, especially bartenders. They always have a story.
Right. Yeah,
They
they
always have
do.
a story on why they're doing bartending, on where they're there, or what's going. So yeah, just do as Tyler is saying. Try to make a little conversation with these guys because they're gonna surprise you.
Yeah, that's the point of this podcast. I want everyone to do as I say. That's the main
Exactly,
tip.
exactly. Submit to Tyler.
Definitely not. So after your time in Edinburgh, you met this Italian girl and you decided to go back to Italy. That must have been such an exciting but also terrifying time.
When I went to Italy, you
Yeah.
mean terrifying in what sense? Sorry.
I mean, to be going back there, were you going back to the town where she's from?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean now. Yeah, because I was gonna meet the parents, the family, the friends, and I was there alone.
Right.
Completely alone. Nobody to have my back.
Right.
So it was very very particular, but it turns out that the family is really awesome. The family of Linda, they are amazing. Like, for example, the mother, she's like the best Italian cook that you're gonna find. It's crazy because it's like the typical Italian family, traditional, all that, and they live by the sea, which is amazing.
Oh
The food
yeah.
was amazing. She lives in the south side, in the hill of Italy.
Heel
It's
of the
called Puglia.
boot.
Exactly, the hill of the boot, right down in the hill. So it was an amazing place. His father treated me like a son, honestly.
Oh wow.
So it was really, really, really cool. The only problem was not having a lot of friends there because, yet
Sure.
again, when I arrived, I didn't speak any Italian whatsoever.
Uh-huh.
And people there in Italy, especially in the south, they don't speak English at all.
Right, right.
So I had to learn Italian. I actually did learn Italian. I was 4 months there. I managed to learn Italian. Italian is very similar to Spanish, so it was very easy. Right?
It's never easy to learn a language, but
Yeah, I
I,
agree.
I see the
But
similarities, but that's still very impressive. And how were you able to learn the language?
because I had to.
Yeah.
I was working there, right? I was a
Okay. And
waiter again.
did Linda help you find work there as a waiter?
Yeah, she did. Like basically, her cousin, he had a friend that he was starting a brasserie, right?
Uh-huh.
So they were looking for staff, and they were like, "Hey, can you hire this guy because he has arrived? And they gave me a little test on very basic Italian,
Hmm.
and okay, I wasn't amazing at it, but I was more or less enough to do a
You
waitering
could take
job.
orders, sure.
Yeah, exactly. But then, speaking with the family, speaking with the clients, with the customers, and just speaking with people that I met there and with friends that I made, I managed to learn Italian. And now
Wow.
I absolutely love it. And if I have the opportunity, you know what's very good about it?
What's that?
That I can watch The Godfather with no subtitles at all.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah. That's the way to do it. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's one of my goals here in Spain. I mean, I often tease the idea to myself. I haven't been very good about studying lately, but I think having a goal to work as a waiter in the country you're living would be it's just an excellent way to like become fully conversational in
Yeah,
the
the thing is,
language.
like, if you want to learn a language, you have to have a goal on mind. Otherwise, you're
Right.
gonna you're gonna let it go.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
gonna let it go. Because that's how you work. That's how the human minds work. No, you set aside things because there's other things that they are more important. But if you set learning this new language as a priority because of this reason, this very
Hmm.
important reason, then you're definitely gonna learn it. And it doesn't matter if it's Norwegian, Russian, Chinese, Italian. You're
Right.
gonna learn it. You're gonna learn
I,
it.
I think there's no more powerful motivation than falling in love. That must have been the ultimate motivation. Although,
Definitely.
I moved to Ostrava because my
Yeah.
girlfriend is from there, and I learned probably about 50 words in Czech over the course
Oh,
of a year.
Czech is really difficult. Czech is really difficult, isn't it?
It is very difficult, and there are 10 million people who speak that language. So
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot of motivation, but
There is no reason on really. Maybe in Ostrava because people don't speak very good English, I would
right,
say,
right.
right? But can I ask you something? A little bit of topic
Absolutely,
time right now.
absolutely.
What happened with your girlfriend?
My girlfriend, as far as I know, she's in Ostrava. No, we've kept in touch. We're still together.
All
And
right.
she has plans to study in Sevilla beginning in February. So I hope
Okay. So
hope
you're
we
gonna
will
meet.
be hope so. It's hard to count on any plans these days, but
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to do that, but yeah, that's amazing, man. I'm happy to hear that. Happy to hear that.
yeah,
Because
thanks.
last thing I knew, you were going out of Strava and all that. So I was thinking, like, what happened with the girlfriend? So
Yeah, and it was a tough decision, but it ultimately it came down to not like how can we live the best life together, and I was quite unhappy in Ostrava for the majority
yeah,
of the time. I mean, there were
yeah,
extenuating circumstances. No one could have predicted a pandemic.
yeah,
um so that certainly made it more difficult to socialize, but just in general I felt that it was quite challenging socially there.
yeah. And I mean, I know what you mean because social life in Ostrava, it translates to getting drunk.
Yeah, right. Getting drunk or
So
staying home, and yeah,
exactly. And if you don't want to get drunk, you pretty much cannot do anything with other people, right? Because Czech
yeah,
people, they drink. I mean, Czech people are very nice. I had very good experience, and they really like to go into the nature as well. But
yeah, yeah.
it never lacks the beer. It never lacks the beer. The beer has to be always there, isn't it right?
Yeah, that was my experience as well. And the beer is it's amazing and it's
It's
cheap.
so good. It's so good. It's so good. Do you know what I found here in Cyprus, Tyler?
What's that?
I found Kozel.
No way.
Yes, yes, I did, and it's the most amazing beer in the world. By the way, guys.
Kozel is
Uh,
I don't agree with this. I do not endorse this message.
okay, okay. I submit to Tyler, everybody. Remember. No, I really love Kozel and Radegast. But Radegast I didn't find it
Radagast.
here.
Yeah, Radagast is good. That was yeah, the local one, right? It comes from
Yeah,
just outside of Ostrava. It's
yeah.
quite hoppy, almost like an IPA. Not an IPA, but more bitter.
A strong flavor, yeah.
Yeah.
Very. The only one that I don't like it was the Pilsner Urquell, and I know that's a lot of. It's breaking a lot of Czech hearts right now, but
No, but I see what you're saying. It's kind of overpriced. It's like marketed as the premium one, but I never
yeah.
really thought it was anything special.
And at the end of the day, it's a Pilsner, and I'm more of a
Right.
lager person. So,
Uh-huh.
you know.
So, what led you to Ostrava? I know you had a job online, or it wasn't online. Tell me about it. I forgot.
Yes. So right now we were in Italy,
We
right?
were in Italy, right? And there's
We
a
were in
stop
Italy.
between. Okay.
Exactly. So we were in Italy, and then I finished my 4 months in Italy with her, and then the next step was to be 4 months in Spain,
And had you
right?
planned this ahead of
Uh,
time? Like you knew you would only be in Italy for 4 months going into it?
yes,
Okay.
definitely. When she told me she was going to Italy, I told her I wanted to be with her, and then we
Uh-huh.
planned. Okay, I just want to be. She told me I just want to be in Italy for the summer, and then find a job somewhere else in the world. And I was
Okay.
like, that's exactly what I want to do. So it's perfect, no?
Perfect.
So if you get an opportunity to go to Italy for free, because I was staying for free, in the parents' house, and I was gonna learn a new language, eat tasty food, discover a new
Right.
place, and all of this out of love. Why not? It's
Exactly.
amazing opportunity. So I say, okay, let's go to Italy for months, and you know what? After that, let's go to Spain for 4 months. So you also meet my family.
Uh-huh.
And she agreed because she also was stupidly in love with me. So she agreed, but we decided not to work in Spain, right? We
Uh-huh.
decided to take it 4 months, a little bit of holiday, just to enjoy the city of Malaga from October to December, kind of.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And in the meantime, planning on where to go next.
Okay.
So our initial plan was to go to Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and we found a workaway in Germany. Do you know what's a workaway?
I've done Workaway. Yeah, I've done
Okay,
Workaway in
okay,
Spain actually.
perfect. So we
Yeah.
did a workaway in Germany, and at the same time we were, giving away CVs online. There is this page that's called European Language Jobs, and some other
Okay.
pages like that, like Glassdoor and kind of things,
Uh-huh.
in which you just submit your CV, to different companies. And I submit my CV for a company in Prague. I was gonna work in
Okay.
Prague initially, right? So I got the call and they told me, "Hey, you still interested in working in Prague?" And I told my girlfriend we're super excited about that because Prague is, as you know, it's such a beautiful, lovely city.
Absolutely. I love Prague. Yep.
It's one of the most beautiful cities in Europe,
Yeah.
and
So historic and so much culture and yeah.
yeah, definitely. You fall in love in an instant with Prague. The moment
Yeah.
you're there, it's amazing. So we were super excited to go in there. She didn't know Prague. I did know it from before, but I was playing her. This is an amazing place. I show her pictures. Oh, it's so lovely. It's so beautiful. Um, all of this while we were in the workaway in Germany, right?
Okay. And what were you
Uh,
doing at that Workaway?
Basically, we were helping out a guy that was from Italy to move from Germany to Italy.
Okay.
I
Sounds like
explain.
a
It sounds weird. Like this, there was a couple. No, they had a bed and breakfast, right?
oh, okay, okay.
But they were tired of living in Germany, right? So they wanted to retire in Elba, which is a very lovely island in the north of Italy, very
Uh-huh.
close to Toscana, where is Florence and all this.
Right, okay.
So for that, basically what we did was clean the whole house in Germany, pack everything, put in a truck. This took days and days and days of hard work. And then we got in the truck with the guy and we crossed Switzerland,
Wow.
which was spectacular,
Yeah.
and we went to this island in Italy, and then we had to unpack the furniture to put it everything in place, because they already had a place there in this island. So we had to put everything into order, So we was there like 3 days in that island, amazing vibe, obviously,
Uh-huh.
Italian island, and then back to Germany. Okay.
Okay, okay. So
And at the same
for
time, I was having yeah. Sorry.
no, I'm sorry to interrupt, but for those listening, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I already know the answer, but were you or how much were you paid for this, for all this heavy lifting and moving across international borders?
Oh yeah, I was having a net salary of €0 per week.
Euros per week. Yeah, the
Yeah,
standard workaway salary. So
exactly.
I often get this question, why the hell did you do that? Why would you do that for no money?
Well, do you want me to answer to you or to people that doesn't know what this?
For
Because I'm
people
sure,
that don't know, yeah, yeah.
because I'm sure you get my point. Okay,
Yeah,
you don't do
absolutely.
this for the money, guys. You do this because you are gonna. It's like a holiday, okay, and they
Yeah,
give you food and accommodation, and you only have to do a little work for these people, you
right.
know. And it's amazing because you get to do some work, so you feel useful, right?
Yep.
And you meet the people who is hosting you. You get the chance to discover more of the place that you're living, right? If you go to Germany and you book a hotel, for example, if you go to Berlin and you want to stay 5 nights, it's going to cost you thousands of euros,
Yeah.
right? And here with Workaway is going to take you again. We're promoting Tyler. We're promoting Workaway now.
Yeah, we are. We got to cast those lines for the advertisers. Maybe one will bite.
Definitely, definitely. With Workaway, it's not going to cost you anything, and they may even pay you. There's some pay Workaways. It wasn't our
Yeah.
experience, but you don't do this for money. You do this because you had an opportunity to be longer in that place, right?
Hmm.
And to meet the people who's hosting you and to do some kind of labor that is always going to be a good experience, you know.
Right.
If you're painting houses, you're going to learn how to paint houses. If you're going to be in a farm, you're going to learn how to farm. If you are taking care of animals, you're going to learn how to take care of animals. No, and it's important, not very important, but amazing skills that you're going to develop through life. And that's the point. That's the whole point of traveling at the end of the day. You know, learning new things.
I completely agree. I often ask myself, what would I do if I were rich? And I don't think I would do a whole lot of things differently. Like if I were to have a lot of money, I would be tempted to stay in luxurious hotels, but I would miss out on so much experience, so much of the culture that you get with these
Exactly,
workaway type
exactly.
situations.
What will be the point of traveling if you're staying in a 5 stars resort
It
and
seems
you're
like it would
just
all be the same, no matter where you
exactly.
are.
You will then okay. You will have the local food in 5 stars hotels and all that, you know.
Yep.
But you will then be a local, and the point of traveling. I think this is a very interesting point, Tyler. And there is a difference that people have to understand as soon as possible between traveling and doing tourism,
Absolutely.
right? When you're traveling, you have to become a local,
Yeah, you have to
right?
contribute.
Exactly. You have to kind of contribute culturally, physically. I don't know. Do something for the community that you're living
Yeah,
there. No, not just be there like a plant and go to places, go to visit this cathedral or this other cathedral, or this forest or this other forest, because
right.
that's not the point of traveling. The point of traveling is not about the cathedrals or the streets or the monuments. No, the point that's doing tourism. That's doing tourism, and
Hmm.
nothing wrong with that. But traveling is about the people. It's about the food. It's about learning new things. Trying to even if you are staying for 2 weeks in I don't know in Morocco, try to learn a little bit of the language. Try to prepare some of their food. You know, try to become a local a little bit, and then you will be traveling. You know.
Absolutely. And you say there's nothing wrong with tourism, and you know, I tend to agree. People have harmless motives, but
Mhm.
especially in the age of a pandemic, I think that the world could benefit from less frivolous tourism where we're jet setting across the globe just to take that picture and then going back across the planet. It's
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
spend time in a place, really invest in the experience.
No,
There's a lot.
yeah, exactly, exactly. We can all benefit from that, especially right now. And the Earth really needs a break right now.
Right, right.
Especially tourism is really, really polluting, right?
Yep,
Especially cruise ships.
yep.
But what I mean is that it's nothing wrong to because I used to be 3, 4, 5 years ago. I used to say like things like if you're not traveling, you're not living. You have to go out of your comfort zone. You have to,
Uh-huh.
but now understand that that life is not for everybody,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
And you just gotta live your life the way you wanna live it, and live the other people live their own lives, and if someone wants to do small little vacations just to get out of their country because they need it, everybody needs it every now and then, but they don't want to really become a local. They just want to do tourism because they're interested in the monuments or in the history of the place. That's
Right.
completely right. That's what I mean. It's completely right. Nothing wrong with that. But it's not traveling. It's
Absolutely.
just doing tourism.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. We could all take a break of bloggers and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, back to your timeline here. So you spent a few months in Spain, and then you went to Germany, and you heard about this
yes,
opportunity in Prague. How did that turn out?
yes, perfect, perfect. Yeah. So then I received yet another call for the same company, and they say, "Hey, apparently the position in Prague has been already filled. We had a little bit of miscommunication with the office, the headquarters,
Okay.
but we can offer you the same position in Ostrava." You know,
Where?
and I was like, all right. I mean, sounds interesting because uh, I did know Prague, but I didn't know Ostrava, you know.
Yeah, not
And
many do.
then exactly, nobody does it actually. But it's actually the third biggest city in Czech Republic.
It
You know,
is, yeah.
it is, yeah. So I didn't know about this place, so I was a little bit even more excited, you know, because I have this idea. I don't know if you agree with me, Tyler, but when you go to the capital of a country, you're never really experiencing the country
Right.
by itself, right? You're experiencing more of a Truman Show kind of thing that they put for tourists, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's the
I don't know if
facade,
you I don't know if you agree with me actually.
I
Yeah,
absolutely
there's a
agree.
facade. Yeah, so I thought myself, okay, actually Ostrava is gonna be more Czech Republic than Prague. You know, Prague is
Yeah.
Prague. It's just the capital. People go there. There's a lot of tourism, and there is this facade, and it's expensive, and they want me to think that I'm in Czech Republic. But if I want to feel like in Czech Republic, I have to go to other places. And I had this in my mind. You know, I was chewing on this, and I was
Uh-huh.
starting to like the idea. You know, Ostrava, yeah, sounds cool. And the pictures, they were not flattering, but they were not really bad. You know, you go on Google and you type Ostrava, and it's not bad. You see the Viktovice, you know, this kind of the industrial area, which is
Uh-huh.
impressive, and some buildings, the river, some trees. So it's not really ugly in the pictures, you know.
Sure.
But my girlfriend absolutely hated the idea of going to
Oh
Ostrava.
no.
Absolutely hated it. And for 6 months that we were in Ostrava, she was miserable because
Oh
she
no.
didn't like the city at all. She didn't like the city at all. Sorry, Ostrava. She didn't like the food. She didn't like the weather. She didn't like the vibe of the city. She didn't like, you know.
Yeah, I
And
understand. I
and
understand.
especially, I think the main problem here is that she didn't manage to get a job because she was told that she was going to get a job in the same company as I was going to get, you know. So that
I
was,
see.
sorry, that was also encouraging. We were going to work in the same company. But then coronavirus happened
Right.
and I got the position, but she did not.
I see.
So then that's the whole reason why we had to move out of Ostrava, is basically because she didn't have more money to keep being there.
Right. Yeah. So when I messaged you a couple weeks ago and you told me where you are now, I was really surprised, and I'm really interested to see how you ended up there. Are you working with the same company?
No. This is very interesting. You told me before um, what kind of job I was doing in Ostrava, and it was also a very important point for me in my life because it was the first time for me that I was actually doing an office job
Right, right.
when I
That's right.
was working in Ostrava. I did hospitality, I did tourism, and I really absolutely loved it. But at the same time, I wanted to have something more stable,
Sure.
you know. So then I got this office job in Ostrava. I was working in a software company, and basically what I was doing was customer service, right?
Okay.
So it was an easy job. I got along with my friends there. I really did a lot of good friends. So I was enjoying it, right?
Uh-huh.
And but it was a very important point for me because it was my first office job, right? So I knew I was able to get more office jobs. So now traveling around the world as I do, it wasn't gonna be such a struggle,
I
you know.
see.
I could get an office job now everywhere in the world because I already have office experience, and I don't have to go to hospitality or tourism. So that was very important
But
to
you
me, and I
but you
really
still
liked it.
could. I mean, you maintain the options you had before, and now you have exponentially more with office jobs.
Exactly, exactly. Not that I'm not gonna go back on hospitality, right? It's just that if by the time being, if I can avoid it, because I've done it for the last 3, 4 years,
Yeah,
I prefer to gain more of an office experience now,
sure.
But you never know how life's gonna turn.
Right.
Yeah, basically, I'm not working in the same company. Now I'm working in the Forex industry in Cyprus, which is basically investing. I'm working for a broker.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I'm working as a salesman here, which involves a lot of cold calling
Uh-huh.
and just trying to make people into investing,
Oh man, this sounds
invest
like
more
Wolf
money.
of Wall Street.
It's exactly like that. It's exactly like that. It's
Is it really?
not. It is. It's not. It's not 90% like that. I mean, there is a lot of money involved here. Like you can make a very good salary easily, right? It's not as crazy as in the movie because at the end of the day, it's a movie and it's not the same Cyprus as Wall Street, right?
Yeah, I'm sure
But you
not.
can make a lot of money, and I know that there is a lot of misbehavior and drugs around,
A lot of
in this company.
extracurricular activities, yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. Not that I like it personally. I don't like that kind of environment, but
Right.
it's happening. What you see in the movie is not completely fake.
Oh
Okay.
man, I'm so intrigued by this. So I don't
Yeah.
know if I ever told you, but my first job out of university was at a stock brokerage company.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, I was
Oh,
in a
amazing.
broker training program, but I only lasted 6 months because I worshipped the film The Wolf of Wall Street when I was in school. It's ridiculous. I don't encourage that type of behavior, but
Not at all. But
I
it's an
just
amazing movie.
like I liked the freedom of it. These guys were
Yeah.
just like they didn't care about any regulations, or they could not be told what to do. They just did exactly what they wanted. Um,
Yeah.
but when I entered the industry, I learned that because of people like that, it is
Yeah.
heavily regulated today, and it's
It
now
is.
very corporate.
It is very regulated, but let me tell you this: people, they still do whatever they want because as long as you get in money into the companies,
Yeah, yeah.
you can do whatever you want. I mean,
Well,
and I'm telling you about people making drugs in the office, people drinking alcohol in the office, people being encouraged to drink alcohol in the office by the very owners, you
and I
know.
imagine that Forex is probably a little less regulated than the Nasdaq or S&P.
Especially in Cyprus, man.
Yeah, okay. So
that's that's why that's why like 200 companies of forex of investing there in Cyprus, because it's so easy to get the regulations.
uh-huh, uh-huh. I know very little about Cyprus. It's a country of intrigue. How did you find out about this opportunity there? Did you go before you had the job, or did you move there because of the job?
I moved here again because of my girlfriend.
Uh-huh.
She couldn't find a job in Ostrava, right? So she found a job in a hotel as a hostess,
Okay.
animation kind of thing,
Yeah.
in Ayia Napa, in a beautiful city by the sea in here in Cyprus.
Oh, okay.
Uh, and I was intrigued because then I started to learn about Cyprus, and then I learned about forex industry, and I learned how much salary can you make and how easy it is for someone to come here and have a job. It's crazy. It's so easy to get a
Really?
job here in Cyprus. Yeah, it is. It is very easy. And if you speak like Spanish and if you speak two languages, it's really really easy.
Wow, okay.
Uh, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna live in a Mediterranean island,
Yeah,
having good salary, having good money, and being a salesman, which is one of the easiest jobs that I personally can do, because you already know me, Tyler, and you know have that kind of personality that I'm not shy towards people,
sure, sure.
and I really like to communicate, and I really like, you know,
But
try
also,
to,
you don't come off as like a sleazy salesman. You seem to
no,
be.
not at
I've
all.
always thought of you as an authentic person, and I think that could really make the sale a lot easier.
Exactly, that's my point. Because a lot of people here, they are, as I would say, like greasy salespeople, no, like
Right.
trying to say everything in order to make a sell. But I wouldn't sell to someone that doesn't want to buy. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's a principle I live by, and I'm right now I'm doing very good numbers in my company, so everybody is very happy with me. And I think a part of it is to be honest. You have this conception of salespeople as to be mischievous,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of, right?
Of course.
But I think that actually it's a very real picture. It's a very real picture, but it's not the most effective strategy. I would say that honesty is way more effective, despite
Yeah.
what you hear, despite what you think about this kind of jobs. Honesty is really important.
I would agree. Yeah, just being yourself. And, I didn't even tell you what this podcast project is all about, but the idea is to introduce people to different lifestyles, different ways of life, and to encourage people to craft their own path, to come up with their own way. And I
That's
think
amazing.
that translates in your work as well. I mean, you're working as a salesman. That's a pretty common job. Nothing common about your
Mhm.
situation, but you found a way to excel at it by being yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But now I have an office job, making good money, living in an island with my girlfriend. But it doesn't mean that it's the end of the path.
Right.
I much rather be 1 year out of here being a waiter again and earning less salary than establishing here for the rest of my life.
You talked earlier about the pressure of turning 30. Is that a pressure that you feel?
Not really. I mean, I kind of joke about this. It's like a joke, but I didn't feel it before, but now I'm 27,
Yeah.
28 soon, and the pressure is there, but it's a weird pressure because you don't want to accept that there is a pressure, right? And you want to say that this is all it's all bullshit and it's society pressing you, but at the same time, it's there. It's like beauty standards, kind of,
Yeah.
right? It's all imposed to you. At the same time, you cannot ignore it. It is there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But I keep hoping that the day 30 comes. Oh, I feel very confident that the day 30 comes, nothing's going to
Mhm.
feel any different. I think it's the
No,
anticipation of
exactly.
it.
Exactly. Nothing's that's what it's part of me wants to be 30 already, just to get
Right.
over it with it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Yeah, I definitely can relate. One thing that you have not mentioned, which just speaks to your humility and yeah, being humble, during this, you found the time to write a novel.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah, that.
Oh yeah, that I did, yeah. Yeah, yes. I promote a lot of people that I promote myself. No, yeah, that's totally accurate. Yeah, I wrote a fantasy novel in Spanish. I've been doing for quite a long time, and I managed to publish it while I was in Germany, right before going to Czech Republic. I managed to
Okay.
publish it in Spain.
And you worked
Uh,
with a publisher or did you self-publish?
I did work with a publisher. I work with a publisher.
How did you contact them?
I saw like basically I just typed on Google which one was the best ones to start with. When you're
Uh-huh.
like an amateur writer, and you want to start to be in the market.
Sure.
And I grew to probably 11 or 12 of them, and those were the ones that they were interested,
Uh-huh.
and they were very fast and they were very professional. So I'm very happy with them. And yeah, I'm writing the second book right now.
Oh, no way. So what is your series called? Or is it related to the first one?
It is. Yeah, I am planning to do a whole Harry Potter kind of saga like this.
Okay. What is it called?
It's called in Spanish. It's called Oro y Ceniza, which translates to gold and ashes.
Wonderful, wonderful. So how long have you been pursuing writing? Is that something that always interested you?
Well, this is the thing, Tyler. writing is the focal point of my life.
Okay.
Right? It's not a hobby that I do. It's not a job that I'm pursuing. It's the thing uh, for what I live. Right?
Yeah.
Is writing is like the sun, and then everything that goes around. It just things that are happening in my life. But everything translates. Everything revolves around writing.
Uh-huh.
Right? And since I was a kid, I really loved reading, but not only reading. Watching movies, playing video
Storytelling.
games,
Yeah.
stories. Stories. And I've been pursuing it for a long time, and I will keep pursuing it. And that's why I don't have a professional goal. I don't mind being a waiter. I don't mind being a salesman. I don't mind doing this or that, or from living here or there,
Right.
because at the end of the day, what I want to be is a writer.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
know,
And I recently said something similar, and my friend was being kind of a smartass, and he's read a lot of self-help books lately, so he was like,
right?
"Oh, you shouldn't be something. You should just be yourself." And I was like, "Yeah, but you know what I mean." And I think that's what you mean too, right? Like you just want a life that supports writing. Like you want to do the act of writing.
Precisely. Like if I'm having this job or whatever other job, it's just to support my times of writing, so I can
Yeah.
get food
Right, right.
and shelter, and I can write. You know,
Yes, the world is not very kind to artists. So that's exactly what this is about, finding a way to support those interests, the things that really matter.
exactly, and that's the thing that really matters to me. It's to keep doing stories.
Yeah, I love it, man. I can relate. So when you were pitching this initial idea, had you already written the entire novel and you just sent them a draft?
Yes, that's what happened. I had already my novel completed
Uh-huh.
because I wanted to, have it completed and review it before I actually send it anywhere. Because
Right.
the thing is, like, it took a while because it's a fantasy novel, right?
Yeah.
So the first stage was to create the world, right? And all the genesis and all the cosmology of the world, and all the
Wow.
history of the world until the point that we are now, because, for example, take the Lord of the Rings, right?
Uh-huh.
Amazing storyteller Tolkien, right? What did he do? He created the whole history, and the things that are happening in his book is because of a chain of consequences of history, right?
Right.
And that's exactly what's happening in the real world, right? So I knew I wanted the same. So I had to create a fascinating history in order to create a fascinating story.
I see.
So that was the first stage. It took me a long, and then from the chapter 1 to the last chapter, I improved so much the act of writing that once I finished, I had to go back again to the first chapter and correct myself and make it better,
Sure.
to make
Did
it to the
did you write chronologically throughout?
yes. Like
Uh-huh.
you mean episode 1, episode 2, episode 3?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, I did. But at the same time, I wrote. Uh, how was it? It's a little bit messy in the sense that yes, it's chronological, but it's different stories happening in this world.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So it's different characters, a lot of different characters.
I see. Wow.
So basically, I will pop from one character to the other. So one episode is about one character, and then chapter 2 is another different character, and then chapter 3 is another different character.
I
And then
see.
chapter 4 will be the character of the first episode, right? But then chronological, as you said, no. And the point of this is like all the stories at some point they're gonna max,
Uh-huh.
they're gonna match, right?
Wow, man, that sounds like
Like
incredibly complicated writing. I am so impressed with it. Did you ever take any writing courses? Did you study writing in a traditional setting?
Well, no. I studied philosophy, a master degree in philosophy, which helped me a lot to write the
Hmm.
book itself, I read a lot, and I read a lot of the classic books,
Yep.
and they really help you in that, in plot line. But I knew I didn't want to, like, it's something I'm personally, right now I'm against that, not that there's anything wrong with that, but just for myself, it doesn't work like that, because you cannot put, it sounds again very cheesy, but you cannot put borders to art. You know what I
No,
mean?
yeah, I definitely see that. I also see, I've had a few creative pursuits on my own over the past few years, and the majority of them, there's one that has persisted, but the majority have fizzled out. And, it's so easy to make excuses. But I often feel like some of those could have persisted had I had a community of people around me to
Uh-huh.
collaborate. But I know writing
Right.
is a very solo pursuit.
It is, but it's to be completely honest with you, it's not my dream pursuit. And this may surprise you, but what I would really like to do is comic books
Aha, okay.
and
Wonderful.
graphic novels. But
Yeah,
I don't know squat about drawing. So if I wanna pursue that, I'll need someone else, as you're saying.
right.
I will need an illustrator. I will need professional, uh, you know, illustrator. So I
Throughout your
will,
travels, have you
yeah.
ever met either like an author or someone who works in the industry that kind of reaffirmed your path, like made you feel like, wow, like what a coincidence to have met this person?
I met through, I met a lot of artists during my
Okay.
travels. I met musicians, I met painters, I met photographers, incredible people. I met writers, but mainly people that they were about to write, to finish their books, or something like that.
Oh, okay.
So nobody that could reaffirm my path, kind of, right?
I see.
Nobody that could tell me, yeah, that's the right thing to do, you know.
Okay. So,
But yet again, this thing I'm doing is, I know that I'm doing it the way I want to do it, and that's the most important thing, right? At the end of the day, if I sell 100 books or I sell one, or if I become famous or not, I will not care, because I'm living my life in the way I want to do it, and I'm
exactly.
balancing everything in the way I want to do it, and I'm doing the thing that I want to do it. And if one people read it or 30 million people read it, it will not make a difference for me. It will make a difference emotionally, because I would love to people to read a story that I wrote, and to fall
Absolutely.
in
Yeah.
love with the characters and everything, with the world. But it will not make a difference on how satisfied I am.
Right. I totally get that. So, since your lifestyle is very transient, you're rarely in one place for a long time. How have you been able to, or how were you able to maintain the world of your fiction novel when your nonfiction life, the setting of your nonfiction life is constantly changing? Did you find that that was a challenge?
Well, it was a challenge a little, but also it was the wind on my back.
Okay.
Definitely. Without traveling, I could not have written this book at all,
Wow. Okay.
because there is so many places that you have to see with your own eyes before write about something similar. So many foods that you need to taste before writing about the taste of the food, and so many people that you had to meet before you actually create characters, because this is the
Right.
thing. And how can you create a 100 characters if you only know 5 people?
Yeah, exactly. Or if you know 100 people, but 10 types of people. There are a lot
Exactly,
of
exactly.
similarities.
Precisely. And how are you going to describe what what it is to be in a deep dark forest if you lived all your life in the pleasant weather of Malaga? Right?
Yeah, yeah,
You
absolutely.
can't. So for me, it was the wind on my back, definitely.
Okay. And so were you able to adapt your story to the events, or not necessarily the events, but some of the research you had been doing in your actual life as you were writing it? Because we talked about that urge. I get the urge typically 4 to 6 months into a place. I feel like, okay, I want a new challenge. How were you able to
Yeah.
stick to one novel start to finish? That is what fascinates me.
Very, very interesting point. It's not the first novel that I tried to write.
Okay.
I tried it a couple of times before, and it was always the same. No, you had the same problem as I do, starting a lot of things but
Yep.
barely finishing.
Yep.
But then with this one, first of all, it was force of will, saying like, okay, I'm gonna start one novel and finish it, just because if you really want to be a writer, just do it, even if you're not gonna sell it later. But just finish a novel, just write
Yes.
something from starting to ending point, Otherwise, I'm not gonna improve. And I knew this, so I said, okay, I'm gonna start now. I'm gonna start it, and I was creating the world, the characters, and everything. And the more I was writing, the more I was like, I'm really liking this.
Yeah.
I don't want this to end. And every time that I was traveling or meeting someone, it was an excuse for me to make a little change on the book, or put a new character or a new environment, or things like that, or a new joke, or
I
so
love
if
it, man.
someone, yeah.
I think maybe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe that's because you invested so much thought and time into laying the foundation and building this world, to where then you could introduce people from reality to this world which already existed because you had built it.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Because it's at the end of the day, okay, it's my world, it's my rules, but the important thing is like you don't have to have control over it.
Sure.
Because if as an author, if you have control over your world, you can make horrible things. Because you can make things like, I don't know, for example, the character will never die because he's the protagonist,
Oh, sure.
because you control the rules of the world. Okay, so at some point you have to let the rules of the world control you, and the only way to do that is by presenting real life stuff, real life people, real life characters, real life personalities,
Yeah,
real life environments, even real life history. Like when I was
absolutely.
creating the history, I was doing so much research about how kingdoms they were formed, about you know how much can a horse travel in one day, for example. If you want to make it accurately, you want to know those things. You cannot say that the character A went from point one to point two in 6 hours with a
Right.
horse, if point one and point two is 200 kilometers away. You know what I mean?
Sure, and 99% of readers probably wouldn't even notice that, but I love the research aspect of these types of things.
Yeah, like if you like to research, it's not even a job,
Right,
it's not even
exactly.
work. It's just it's something that you don't do it, as you said. People is not gonna notice, or maybe one person will notice out of 10,
Yeah,
because he will put a lot of attention, and then they will become. And I'm sure even in my book there is a lot of holes like that. I'm sure,
sure.
because you cannot be completely focused on that, on that world,
Right.
because as I say, at some point the world has to take control by itself.
Hmm.
At some point you lose a little bit of track, right? Especially with these kind of novels. uh, but but yeah, you have to research, and I did it more for myself. I want to be, I'm not 100% a perfectionist, but I will say that I like to be accurate with my facts. I like to be accurate with with what I'm doing. Not
Absolutely.
not perfectionist, but at least accurate.
Yeah, accurate, and you're continuing with the series, so you research it once, and then
Mhm.
So
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, and that's the whole reason why I said before, watching movies, playing video games, because at some point, uh, even watching a movie can give you a very good idea for your book.
Yeah,
playing a
it's all
video game,
about critical viewing,
critical
watching
eye. Yeah, critical eye.
having a
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I totally get that, man. But I'm still immensely impressed that you wrote a novel start to finish and you're on your second one. What was your schedule like when you were writing it? I mean, how long did it take start to finish?
It took approximately 1 year everyday work
Wow.
for creating the world,
Uh-huh.
and then about 2 years of not everyday work to actually write it.
I see. I see.
I will maybe write twice per week when I was actually writing the book, because of time, you know,
Uh-huh. And
because of
were
the
those
time.
typically like binge sessions where you had a word count goal, or was it a specific amount of time you put in?
Yes, well, I knew I had to schedule myself, otherwise you're not gonna do anything.
Yeah,
So I had a goal of writing at least from 10 in the morning, the times I was free, from 10 in the morning to 1. So that's 3 hours of writing.
that's
But
a
when I say
lot. Yeah,
writing, I also mean researching,
sure.
taking my coffee breaks, looking at a cat or something just to get some inspiration. I don't know,
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, writing, this is the thing, writing, 90% of writing is actually not writing.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, at least 3 hours per day of researching and trying to write something. I was very inspired by, I think, Stephen King, he always says, try to write at least 10 pages per day.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, that's insane. I mean,
That is
I tried
insane. And
that. It's insane. I tried that, and the pages are garbage.
well, and I often think about Stephen King. I guess we've talked about his book on writing.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, yeah, we
Yeah,
talk about it.
I love the book, and I love what he's done in his career. He's an excellent author, but I don't want that life, and I know that for a fact. I don't want to sit at a desk for 4 hours a day and live in a fictional world for that much of the
Exactly.
time.
Yeah,
I think there's
yeah,
a point of diminishing return, and it to each his own. But
yeah.
that scares me.
No, but that I completely agree with you. One of the things that I was completely convinced of is that I didn't want to reach a particular number of pages per day or
Yeah.
per session, because some days they may be 3 pages very good, and some days it may be just 1 page really good, and some other days it can be 10 garbage pages. You know,
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
uh, so from my point of view, you have to write from when you are inspired until you are no longer inspired, even if it takes you years to write the book.
Sure, sure. What was
You know,
that feeling like when you wrote the last line and you knew you had finished that first novel?
it was it was very, very, very special. I remember putting that last dot and sitting with I was drinking a beer at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember being in the chair with a kind of half empty beer and looking at the last sentence. I maybe was looking at it for 30 minutes. Like, try to get, I was looking for something to be wrong so I
Sure.
could have to continue.
Yeah. Wow,
I
man.
was looking for something to self boycott myself, you know, a
Yeah, yeah.
reason for not publish it yet, a reason for not complete it, a reason for not try and actually do it.
Yeah,
And
that's beautiful.
I did find reasons, because I started to review again the book, and there was some orthographical mistakes, and because sometimes it may happen, that you are typing and sometimes you do a typo
Sure,
every now and
sure.
then.
Oh, I mean, there are
And
millions of, or no, there have been thousands of bestsellers with many typos in them.
exactly. So then I started again from the beginning to the end, not writing again, but correcting some typos, right?
Yeah.
But then at some point I was like, Carlos, you're gonna find typos every time you review the book.
Yeah.
and you're never gonna release it if you keep doing this. And my idea was like, I started to feel like I was talking to myself, like, why are you so scared of finishing it? Finish it. Just finish
Yeah.
it. Just finish it. Write end of the story and just send it. And it was something that was with me for 3 years, and I think that's why I was feeling like that.
Yeah.
It
It's
was
like
part of my personality to sit
absolutely.
down every day and write and create these characters and develop their stories. And I was sad that I finished it.
So you took some time off before
So
starting the
that was
second
it.
one.
I took I took 2 weeks off
Oh wow. Okay.
because I took 2 weeks off, and then I started to write again because I realized that I couldn't not do it. I had to do it. I had to continue.
Right.
I wrote the end of the book, and even I was intrigued. You know,
That's how you know you wrote it well.
maybe.
I mean,
Even I,
that's the thing. I mean, that must be what keeps you going. If you're intrigued, you got to find out what happens next, and there's only one
even I
way.
was exactly. When I was like, dude, I had to find out what's going on, even if I knew what was going on, because obviously I know the whole story in my brain. You know,
Sure.
even though sometimes the story doesn't go exactly as you plan, you know, because
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I know the start, I know the ending, and everything that happens in the middle, I kind of know it, but I don't know what's going to happen in this episode or in this episode or in this episode, you know.
Sure.
Sometimes you just go with the flow a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
um, so even me, I was like, I mean, I'm still creating new plots and new characters.
It
Even
sounds like
now that
you've really captured it. So, while you were writing, did you ever tell people about your plans or like what you were working on, especially like parents or people who might be not necessarily judgmental, but they might start to think like, okay, but you know what you're doing, you're working at a pizza shop, but what are you going to do after that? Did you ever say, hey, look, I'm going to write books, you know, just be patient?
yeah, I mean, my best friends, they knew it from the beginning of the story. And in fact, my book is dedicated to one of my best friends because
Awesome.
she pushed me into continue.
Hmm.
Basically, she was the one that I was sending the episodes,
Okay, I see.
chapter after chapter, and she was really liking it. And is a very amazing reader. She's never without a book in her hands. So it was very flattering for me that she wanted me to continue with that and actually keep pushing, you know?
I'm sure.
So my friends, they knew, even though some of them didn't take it very seriously. I think that's where you're going, more or less.
Well, I just feel like it's a slippery slope, right? Because there are those
Yes.
people that you know, they always have ideas and they share every idea immediately before they even get
Mhm.
started. And then they get the satisfaction from the idea. Someone says, oh, great idea. They feel good and they move on to something else.
Yes, yeah, no, I know what you mean. The thing for me, it was like, okay, my parents knew, and but only few people were really interested about it.
Right.
And you keep listening to these kind of things, like if you want to do something, do it in silence, and then I don't know, this kind of motivational sentences, no, like
Yeah. Oh, I hear it all the
prove
time.
everybody wrong or whatever, you know, these kind of things. But for me, it wasn't like, I knew from the beginning that I had my goals, my ambitions, and sharing it with the people that I care for and the people that I loved utterly. It was important for me because they needed to know if I was sad, why I was sad, you know, and maybe it was because I couldn't write that day, or if I was very happy, why I was so excited, you know.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was such a big part of my personality that I could not share it, you know.
Absolutely. I mean,
I had to
I'm
share that.
It sounds like you put everything into it for 3 years.
Definitely, I did. Yeah, I did.
And I think it's important, or just from hearing from you now, I'm realizing it's important to have those little victories, to have a little bit of, to get a little bit of feedback along the way, just so you're not riding into the abyss. I think people can get lost out there.
Exactly. Like there is this thing about even I was like that to say this kind of thing. Like I write for myself, and that's the first thing. If there is someone who wants to write a book there and has this idea in her mind, this is the first thing that you have to take out of your mind as soon as possible. You're not writing for yourself. Okay, you're writing because it satisfies yourself. Okay, but you're writing for an audience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're writing for an audience. You're writing because you want someone else that is not you to read it.
Yeah. You have a story to tell.
Exactly, exactly. You have a story to tell, and you have to take it out of your mind. Otherwise, you're not gonna sleep. That's the thing.
Maybe that's why I'm an insomniac. It's all starting to make
What's
sense now, Carlos.
what's your story, Tyler? What have you? What didn't you tell me? Are
Oh
you
no,
writing a are you writing a book?
yeah, actually I kind of am, but I when I set out from my hometown in
Mm-hmm.
2016, I did
Mm-hmm.
so with the idea of doing things that would be interesting to write about.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, every step along the way, I've written about it. I had a blog for a couple of years, but I felt like that was not the right platform for the things I was writing.
Right.
So I took it down a year and a half ago or so, but I've been writing ever since. And yeah, so it's wonderful to hear about your story. You are truly an inspiration, and I've taken a lot from this conversation.
Thanks for that, man. And
No,
I'm listen this little project that you having, this podcast project. It's so amazing. I wanted to do something like that for myself a lot of times, but I never found the real platform on how to do it. I didn't want, I always thought that you need very good equipment to do it, things like that.
sure.
But but you're showing me that no, it's just a conversation with two friends
Exactly.
with
It's
with a
yeah.
purpose, with a purpose, and
Yeah, but don't feel bad because you're a writer first and you know that, and I'm just distracting myself from writing. So this is just
yeah, but maybe sometimes the distraction is the real art. What's life without distractions?
Oh, I love it, man. I love it. So on that note, I could ask you a million more questions, and you are always welcome to come on and have a chat. Of course,
It's
offline as well. We don't have to record. It's always a pleasure to
definitely
chat with you.
it's always a
But
pleasure.
what would you say to someone, maybe a young person coming out of university, or maybe
Mhm.
someone in their late 20s who's in more of a traditional lifestyle and they're dissatisfied? Like, what advice would you give to that type of person?
To a person who is not satisfied
Not
with
satisfied. They're
her.
living a conservative or like traditional
Right,
lifestyle.
right. Um, okay, okay. I think what I will say to that person is don't listen to anybody
Yeah,
on the way you have to live your life. Don't even listen to me or to Tyler. You don't have to travel the world to pursue who you want to be. Just be honest with yourself, and if you want to get that job, go get it. If you want to travel the world, go and travel the world. If you want to do art, do art. The important thing is that we are such a short time on this planet, and we all can contribute doing something that can be fantastic, and we have to try it, all of us. We should.
absolutely. The only way to know is to try.
Exactly. So my only advice would be, and it's probably the most common advice that you could hear in a movie or something like that, but just listen to yourself, because at the end of the day, it's the only thing that really matters is that. It doesn't matter how cliche it is, but listen to yourself and don't be 100% happy. This would be my advice. Don't be 100% happy. Don't be
Okay.
100% happy. Find yourself in a good 90% of happiness. So you will have 10% to push you a little bit farther.
Oh man, you know what? That's the first time I've ever heard it, and yeah, I absolutely love that advice. Excellent advice.
Thanks. So that
All
would be
right.
my advice. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I will let you go enjoy Cyprus. I want to know more about it, so we'll have to chat again
Oh,
soon. But
definitely. We have to chat more about this. And once the lockdown is off, you're completely welcome here. I really want to show you this island because it's such an interesting island with Greek heritage, Turkish heritage, political issues at this moment, military issues. Half of the island is occupied illegally by Turkey. Is
wow.
is such an interesting place to live. Before we leave, because I feel like I have to do it now. I talk about this at the beginning of the podcast,
Okay.
and I said that I was gonna find the name of my fellow singer in Norway,
That's right.
and his name is Kalio Music, and that you spell that with Caliow. Kalio.
Okay.
Just because I don't know if someone's gonna, I don't know, he's not giving me any money or anything like that. He's just a great guy, great artist. And I saw at the beginning of the podcast I was gonna say the name. So if someone is interested, go
Hey,
and check
I'm
it out.
interested. I'm definitely going to go check out his music. And just to follow up on your book, where can people find that if people are interested in checking it out?
Perfect. So the book, if you guys read Spanish, sadly it's not in English, but if
I
you
know that's my
guys
new
want
goal
to
to be able
learn
to read
Spanish,
your
read
novel.
Spanish. That's amazing goal. That's an amazing goal. So the name is called Oro y Ceniza, which translates as gold and cinder, gold and ashes, something like that in English. And you can find it on Amazon.
Awesome.
You can find it on Amazon. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I will check that out, and I hope to hear from you soon.
Thanks for having me, and I really hope to hear from you soon, Tyler.
Take care, Carlos.
Take care. Have a great week.
Hasta luego.
Bye bye.